What's up, my precious little pack, and welcome back to VEGA Conflict. Today I'm going to go over general improvements that the game needs, as well as bug fixes, as well as general fixes for visual bugs and things like that. First and foremost, as you may see at the top, I've lost quite a bit of coins. Well, a misclick cost me that today, so that was a bit painful, but at least I didn't lose them all, so I can at least recover somewhat during a civil war. But let's go over what I have. First off, first and foremost is a certain bug in the inventory where certain items, they're all being displayed as flagship cores and everything's being called a flagship core, and everything does that. Those shouldn't be giving flagship cores, all those should be giving their equivalent. Destroyers should be giving destroyer cores and things like that. That is a discrepancy that Kixeye should fix. It should not be a matter of, well, we'll do it after we're done with what we're doing now. This should be a top priority, and it's time that we start putting an emphasis on things like this, because there's so few of us left in the player base, but things like these do cause problems for us. Second, we need a confirm button. Whenever you're going to spend coins in the game, you have to click a secondary button. I was typing with a friend not too long ago in game, and I failed to actually click in the box. Oh wait, no I didn't. I did click in the box. It just didn't register. Second, I didn't have the fleet bay nor the fleet selected, and I started off by tapping the W key. Now W and E on the keyboard on PC, if you're pairing anything, they both count as the same button. And it wasn't... It hurt! I'll admit it. Because I was saving those up for the carrier, so it's going to take me just a little bit longer, but I'll get back on track during the next Civil War and whatnot. But general bug fixes. First off, as I pointed out, they needed to fix it so that each of the cores are properly shown as well as distributed. There is the matter of the coins that I just mentioned, and they said they were going to be doing a rework for the daily missions. That hasn't happened yet. Again, they said they were going to do it. It's time that we start stressing on the point that they need to do it now, because they said they were going to. So for all of you that are still left on the forums, that can talk on the forums, haven't been banned or anything like that, emphasize on the point. They said they were going to do it, make sure they do it. And it's time that we start getting them to pay attention to it. First off, whenever they ask for feedback, we all know that they don't want feedback. They want very specific things from feedback. They don't want your whole feedback or anything, because they're most likely going to ignore the vast majority of it. What they're after is what is good or what is bad, and they'll modify it in-game so that they can decide what way can they make more money but also benefit or be negative to the player. Most of the time, them making more money is negative for the player. Also going to go over the prize list for the invasion because it started, and I do apologize about not making the video sooner. This is going to be a bit of a longer video on account of everything that I'm going to be doing. But it'll be fun, trust me. But the bug fixes are all of those, as well as the rework for the Blood Amber missions, the daily missions. We're now almost halfway. Well, we're a third of the way already through the year, and it still hasn't happened yet. And if nobody believes me, at the end of this video, I will put up a screenshot from in-game. That's right, I have a screenshot of the freaking post. And at the end of this video, I'm going to put it up. But, the invasion. The Cavalier Cutter is the primary ship that we can get through this event. And this is what it looks like. It's got 2 shield slots, so my first guess is how it's all going. Every single one of the Altarian ships is going to have 2 more shields just because of how it's going. They're going to have 2 or more armor slots and things like that. The cutter, however, has 6 weapon slots, and as we know from how cutters are built up in every other tier, they get an additional weapon slot at Mark 4. So it's from tier 6 and up, they all get additional weapon slots. So it's going to have 7 weapons total. That's a bit too much, don't you think? But then you take a look at its weight, it's 50% more over the Vindicator? Yeah, Vindicator, because Decimator was Xeno Division. And it's Overdrive. This is where I found it funny. First off, cutters are suicide ships. I don't like them just because, well, they're suicide ships. I prefer my cruisers with heavy damage resistance and things like that. Well, that isn't quite the case with this one. Typically, I don't also like to use cutters because how easily they can be stasised. Well, it has 25% natural built-in stasis resistance. But then if it gets hit with stasis, this happens. It gets a frightening overdrive. First off, it has no recharge delay on shield, so it's constantly going to be recharging, even if it's being hit from what I understand. It'll be getting additional shield bonuses, as well as an increased movement speed of 50%. That's going to be insane. That's all because somebody hit it with a stasis weapon. Well, I can't say that's going to happen because I've rarely seen stasis weapons being used anymore. I see the vast majority of us using all the newer weapons, and we haven't gotten a stasis weapon for them. The Surge Beam, this was interesting. It has an overcharge detail, and at first I thought, okay, what's the overcharge going to be? Well, it has garbage range, which is fine. It's got exceptional damage per second, but then you go into the overcharge, and it increases the amount of damage it does per second, with a maximum of 10 damage per second bonus, with an overcharge duration of 2 seconds, so it would be able to achieve it over the course. But then you can get the beam charge capacitor, which increases the overcharge duration, so it can be doing 10% more damage per second just by increasing it. The Zephyr thrusters, Zephyr, however you want to pronounce it, but this was interesting. Instead of a mass requirement, from what I can see, it requires shield energy, 15% off shields at that. But this will open up brand new builds for ships using thrusters because we don't see a mass requirement, and typically mass for thrusters is abnormally high on any ship class. And since this is only using energy, it's taking some off your shields. My Bastion cruiser, when I fully fit it, it'll have over 37,000, so it's only going to be losing 4,500 or 5,000. It's still going to have over 30,000 shielding. That is much more than my current fleet of Guardians. So I'll be sure to pick that up because I'm going to be using it, because it'll also reduce the weight, so it'll allow for slightly more interesting fits on my Bastions as well. Along with that, we have the returning Paragon, things like that, the Bastion, the shields, the weapons, everything like that. And I'm going to try and clear out the store this time around. And thanks to me misclicking or whatever that thing was with it repairing my fleet because of the bug for coins, I should be able to do it very easily now. Because the fleet was at like 9 hours repair time and it's done. I would have much rather have spent, if I had done that, and repaired each ship individually just to save a little bit more coin. But now on to the next point. Referring to the Bastion, my first one's done. I'm not going to show the fitting, but I'm just going to show off what it does. Let's find Battleship Fleet. That'll do. That'll do very nicely. And this is only the first variation of this Mark IV. I'm going to be upgrading it more and more as I slowly go along. I'm going to attempt to maintain a single top tier ship fully fitted and everything like that amongst all of my light fittings. I call them light fittings even though they're going to be around 10-day build times just like my current Guardians, but they're going to be fully fitted. Man, that is so beautiful. And I'll be showing off a few different hits with it. No damage. That was easy. Let's go after a sector target. Let's go after level 35 or something cargo. And then I'm going to put it in my main fleet, which is where I had it before. And I'm going to show you what hitting a level 70 Vanguard fleet looks like, with it being a primary factor within the combat. But so far I'm loving the ship. Broken and overpowered, and I actually have a few thoughts on that as well. How could they balance the tiers slightly more than they have been so that this increase in damage per second isn't so massive? Well, they could start off with balancing the... Well, they should start off with balancing the damage per second increase. Each tier in my eyes should only go up by about 5 to 10% damage increase, that's per second, over its predecessor. The weight increase and everything like that, they could have easily changed it so everything only increased by 5 or 10% across the board, so it gets 5 or 10% increased. Everything except for cargo. Cargo should go up by absurd amounts. It should go up by 25 to 30% per tier. But it'll be fairly interesting. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to show you now the 70, like I said. I'm going to hit it the exact way I've been hitting them thus far. It's going to take a little while to find another one coming in. Not after 60, after 70. Okay, it's Vanguard right there. Okay, to that one, nope. But there is a lot of stuff that's time we start forcing Kixeye to hold their word to. And there's no more just simply ignoring it. We should stay on top of the fact until they actually do it. First off, they said they would be doing the rework for the daily missions. Still has yet to happen. As it's currently going, it seems like they've completely forgotten about it. So let's put a little bit of emphasis on it to get them to realize that we're paying attention to it. Along with that, the damage increase per tier should be balanced as well, and their build time should be balanced as well. It shouldn't be some absurd build time that goes over 5 days. Again, it should be a 5 to 10% increase in build time from Tier 3 researchable ships and above. So Tier 4 should be reduced, Tier 5 should be reduced, Tier 6, Tier 7, so on and so forth. Each one should be slightly more balanced in terms of power and things like that. And if someone says it's physically impossible to balance ships by doing that, the point is they should be stronger than the previous tier, but not by enough that they can just wipe them out. Tier 7, it would still be overpowered based solely on the weapons of the cruiser and the damage, but I also have an idea for the cruiser's overdrive. First off, it's a bit overboard, because I mean 300% damage buff, heavy shield bypass, and on top of that they do the increased range. It could have been much better had they actually gone with a 50 to a 25% damage buff to begin with, but as you mark upgrade it, the damage buff gets stronger up to a 125% increase, as well as a 50 to 60% shield bypass, so you get more shield bypass but wouldn't be doing as much damage. Along with that, how they could have countered the range problem, having insane range, started it off low and have you get that 40% at Mark 5 only. So there would actually have been a much higher, better reason to mark upgrade it aside from the mass increase, the production armor shield, things like that. it could have been so much better, along with a lot of things in game had they actually thought and carefully about how to balance it. But this brings up the next point. They don't want to balance the game because the improper balancing is what brings them in money. Would you play the game as a coiner if you spent $500 on a fleet and then got your butt kicked by someone using previous tier ships, except for they had plenty of skill using those ships and knew what they were doing? I'm pretty sure I'd be a little bit annoyed, but the current amount of damage over everything else is just a bit absurd. So it's time to scale it back a bit. And it's time for them to take a break from trying to produce brand new content, because clearly pushing out brand new content constantly the way that they are isn't working, because as we all know, there's such a little player base left compared to previous years that their income is most likely hurting much, much more, because it does cost to maintain a server. It does cost to maintain the technology, as well as the computers, as well as any repairs, daily costs, the people that they have to employ, and things like that. Right now, I feel like their company is... well, not the company. I feel like the individuals are going to be losing a lot more funding than what they could have from the company had they actually just balanced all of the stuff slightly more. And again, a while back I made a video, and the primary objective of it was to point out what the game lacks. First off, the development team doesn't really talk to the player base, which is a shame. They say they want feedback, but as I pointed out earlier, they don't want feedback. They want very specific things to modify how they make their money. And actions speak louder than words, and without saying anything and only acting, that speaks quite clearly to everybody, regardless of what you actually do or say. First off, the daily rework for the daily missions would be much and greatly appreciated by the player base, because we need additional blood amber, because as we all know, the PvP ships cost blood amber. Their primary focus is around blood amber. It's around it and time tokens as well. We want to try and be able to skip as much build time each time they come around as possible, or upgrade time, or anything like that. So time tokens are just as necessary with the blood amber cost as the PvP ships in PvP. And the reason PvP is important for anybody that can actually do it, it's specifically just because you have a chance. It's not guaranteed, but you have a chance at coins that you don't have to buy, you don't have to pay for. But the game needs a lot of reworks, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus over the next couple weeks. I'm going to start pointing out all these small points that the game needs to be improved, and all the large points as well. But instead of just saying they need to be improved, I'm going to list ways that they can be improved. Whether it be something being removed until it's fixed. So let's say an overpowered ship needs to be removed. I'll recommend it's removed until it can be replaced at a later date with the same variation of the ship, just with different stats. Second, I would very at the current time highly advise the Kixeye employees to just take a break, sit back, and reevaluate the game. Don't keep pushing to produce brand new content when you have such a small user base left, and there's still players that are catching up to the current tier. So give them a few months to catch up, focus on improving the game's overall stability, playability, as well as interaction. The main thing that you guys lack at Kixeye is interaction with your user base. CM Lee could be so much more active on the forum than he is right now, and it's actually a bit of a shame. Because there is, granted, there's a lot of trolls on the forum still, but there's still a lot of good people to talk with. And user feedback is one of the most important things for any video game. Doesn't matter what company you're working for, user feedback is a necessity, because if people don't like your product, they're not going to use it, they're not going to buy it, and they're not going to play it. Or in this case, since you're a free-to-play game, they're not going to recommend it either. So your chances at having additional people come in and coin is going to decrease, based solely on the fact that that a certain person was never recommended the game in the first place. If the game was recommendable, it would have to have the following 3 things for a free player and a coiner. 1. The repair costs need to be reduced, but the coin value shouldn't. Right now it's a 1-to-1 ratio of US currency for me. It is 1 cent to 1 coin. That's fine. You pay for exactly what you get. There are ways that they can improve upon it though, so that they can still keep their 1-to-1 ratio, but reduce repair times. First off, as we all know, with the Outpost update a while back, they changed it so anything you equip on a module, armor or shield wise, does not increase the repair time of the module. A similar system would be more than greatly appreciated on all the fleets. Now, why would it be appreciated? Well, for one, it would allow people to play more actively and frequently, but on top of that, it would also increase the amount of damage you can take for what you do. So everyone would be able to play in the game more frequently, including free players, than what they do now. It also wouldn't hurt as badly in PvP if a top tier player jumped a lower tier player, because that lower tier player would have a lower repair time. Things like these have to be thought very, very carefully of. First off, my top fleet right now has about 25 hours repair time. That's around $5 and, well, 600 cents, so $6 worth of repair time. No, not quite. It's $5.20. Pardon me, I'm still waking up. But $5.20 roughly, and under the other system, what it would do is it would simply use the base repair time of a hull. So it would take 1 hour, 15 minutes, 38 seconds, an hour, 8 minutes, 45 seconds. So it would take that, and that'd be your base repair time. It would not go above or it would not go below. It would be exactly that for the ship, no matter what you fit on it. But you could get much, much better damage to repair ratios and things like that. It's time that we start putting an emphasis on doing things in the game, and we need to hold Kixeye to their word. And as I said, they did say they would do a daily mission rework. Well, we're a third of the way through the year and it still hasn't happened. So we still have 2 months worth of Altarian faction stuff. We have the Destroyer next, and then the Carrier, and that's it for the Altarians. Then it's on to Tier 7.5 for whatever they have in store for that. But like I said, I would highly recommend that the development team takes a break from producing brand new content and starts focusing on fixing what we already have or improving upon it. Make the game so that even I, a person who says I can't recommend the game, would be able to recommend it afterwards. If you feel that you could improve the game in, as I pointed out, the repairs, you could alter it so that they match the base, so that the repair times would go down drastically. You'd see an increase in daily player activity just because everybody would be able to run their fleets through the ground, not into the ground, through the ground, then log back in that same day and continue to play. As it is right now, if I were to run my main fleet in the ground and lose every single ship, I wouldn't be playing again that day. And there would be a strong chance, depending on the hour, that I wouldn't be playing it the day after either, because it would still be repairing. It's these things that push people away from the games, and have always pushed people away from the games. And if you would actually alter these, you would see an increase in your coiner base. Now, why would you see an increase? Well, for the exact same ratio that they already spend, they would be making more. So for every $5 a person spends, they would be doing roughly 3 attacks under the new system, because the top fleet that I have would take about roughly 8 hours to repair, because carrier, cruiser, and that, it would be about 7 hours to repair, so I could use $5 to repair it 3 times. Compared to the one time, that'd be able to do with $5. And Kixeye would still be able to keep the ratio of money that way. But if any of you have any additional thoughts or anything I may have mentioned in this video, feel free to say so below. It is very important that you also add your thoughts. And let's go ahead and let's get something rolling out, and let's actually get Kixeye's attention again. First off, for the people on the forum, start cleaning up your act. Yes, I'm calling you out. I'm not calling the moderators out. The moderators, they could do a better job of what they do. So could the CM. The CM, our community manager, could be interacting more frequently with the community. Communication is key to maintaining a good game. Well, the game went downhill, and so did communication. What is a few ways we could improve communication? 1. The development team could actually post directly to the forum of a live video through the channel. And yes, I'm referring to the Kickside channel on YouTube, or they could live stream on Facebook and they could talk about a few of the upcoming features or reworks, or they could just say what's in the works right now and give us updates on when certain things will be live. That type of interaction, and they don't have to tell everything because this is where the CM can come in. Do not tell everything you're going to do. Leave a few things blank so people have to ask about it, but tell your CM about them so that they can relay the information to the player base, giving them slightly more of a role than what they currently have. There are so many ways the game could be improved, and it's just a matter of simply talking, and talking. And there are plenty more ways that I and others have actually come up with ideas to fix the game. And yes, we refer to it as fixing the game and not changing the game because as we see it, the game is broken. And especially with bugs like this one, where we go in here and everything's a flagship core. I can't tell if that's a cruiser core or a flagship core until you click on it and it says battleship and it goes to a flagship core. That's not what I want. I want to turn a battleship core into a battleship core, a higher tier one. It's bugs like those that need to be fixed, but let's start working to clean up what little bit we have left because we have a very small community now. It's under, 15,000 players left that play the game on an average week basis? That's not a lot. That's very little in comparison to other events and other games. So let's take the little community we have, let's start cleaning it up, and let's start improving upon it. Let's see if we can get back to what it was before, because in early beta, as we all see from the player numbers, there was plenty of players here. Let's start increasing Kicksai's revenue as well as increase player satisfaction. But again, it all starts with communication. That's going to be it for this video, everybody. I think I've stated everything I wanted to this time around, whether it was good, bad, or anything in between. If you have anything else to add to this video, or if you have something to point out that could be fixed on the forum or that needs to be pointed out, say so below in the comments section. I may pin the comment. If you have any questions about any potential fittings as well as anything else, feel free to comment or message me in-game. If there is any discrepancies in the video or if there is anything that could be improved, let me know and I'll see what I can do about improving it in the next video. But as always, everybody, I'll see you later.